The fight for Florida, as we've been reporting all morning, is still on. It's hot right now. Razor-thin margins. The Florida Senate race could trigger a recount any moment, thanks to Broward County's beleaguered electoral system. In a new op-ed, our next guest says he, quote, warned Governor Scott about Broward's election swamp. This after he successfully sued the election supervisor there. Here to explain is the writer of that op-ed, Florida law professor, former Democrat congressional candidate who challenged Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz back in 2016, Tim Canova. I understand, Tim, good morning. You're now an independent.
Good morning. I am.
Because of what happened in 2016, tell us what happened in Broward that frustrated you so much.
Sure. I ran as a Democrat in a primary against Debbie Wasserman Schultz in 2016. And after we lost by 13 percentage points, we were very concerned that the outcome was not accurate at all. We had an enormous field operation. Our numbers actually showed us winning. So I put in a public records request to inspect the ballots. Brenda Snipes, the supervisor of elections, stonewalled us for half a year. I filed a lawsuit, and while the lawsuit was pending, Brenda Snipes destroyed all of the ballots in violation of state and federal criminal law. She admitted to it in videotape deposition, and the Florida Circuit Court granted a summary judgment.
Tim, let me stop you right there. I want to give you more time, but that's the kind of thing that a guest comes on and says, and you say, hold on, time out. So she's on tape, Brenda Snipes, admitting that they destroyed ballots. How does this woman, our viewers watch this and say, how in the world does this woman still have a job? And how in the world is she now in charge of this Senate race and this governor's race?
It's a great question. She shouldn't be in charge is the short answer. I called on Governor Rick Scott to fire her at the time, to replace her. He has the constitutional power under Florida law to have done so. I was calling for a criminal investigation. I called on the Florida Attorney General, Department of Law Enforcement, and the U.S. Attorney. These are felonies she committed, and again, she admitted to it in videotape deposition, and the Florida Circuit Court, in granting me summary judgment, found that she violated all of these statutes. So it's really outrageous that somebody like that would still be in her position making $177,000 a year. And I warned Governor Scott and everyone that if she stayed in that position, she was only going to be rigging again. The excuse for her is always incompetence. It's always she's just making mistakes.
So she's incompetent, so she should just stay in her job and oversee more elections. Maybe the results will be tainted. Who knows? It seems this is the kind of thing that infuriates people. What else did you see on this videotape that you were sent?
Well, the videotape was taken by a volunteer of mine this election evening. It shows ballots
on 2018 or 2016?
2018, sir.
2018.
Recently,
okay, because we were talking about 2016. So the video now shows what?
It shows people driving up in private vehicles and offloading ballots that have been presumably secured in these big blue satchels. There's no chain of custody. There's no sheriff's deputy signing to receive these ballots. The ballots are being basically thrown on the ground and then presumably loaded up onto a truck. It seems like a rented truck. I've spoken with election lawyers who all agree that there's no chain of custody here. So you wonder where are these ballots going?
How is this happening in America is my question. And I want to directly ask you, is that election fraud, yes or no?
Well, it certainly undermines the accuracy or the integrity of any election. So whether you want to call it fraud or a lack of integrity, either way, you got to wonder if you're ever going to do a recount of paper ballots. Are those the real paper ballots that we're looking at?
Indeed. Tim Canova, we want to have you back. We're running out of time, but remarkable story. We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much.